I just want to jump right into your most recent project because it came out a couple weeks ago at this time now is Ride. I watched the movie. Unbelievable. I mean, tell me how that even comes about.
I'm from Texas.
Yep.
Grew up around that community, but I didn't rodeo growing up. I was a football player. So for me, like when Friday Night Lights, the movie came out, that was the first time that I was watching something both entertaining and loved it as a kid who liked movies, but I also was like, oh, that's kind of me. That's how I feel when I play football, and like those are the pressures I deal with and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of getting to see myself and my world reflected on screen. But I also grew up loving the rodeo, and after seeing Friday Night Lights, I kind of was like, where's the Friday Night Lights of rodeo? Like, it's such an amazing world. It's a beautiful sport, and like more importantly, like my favorite thing about rodeo isn't even really the sport. It's the way of life that it represents. And I was just kind of made it my mission from then on of like, one day I want to make the Friday Night Lights of rodeo. I want to tell a story about that world and that community. And then about 8 years later, finally got to do it. And like you said, I did have to wear many hats to get it done, but it's part of it.
Like, why do that? What? Because you didn't grow up doing it. You said that. Like, what was so passionate about, hey, I have got to shed light on the bull riders and the people that go watch these competitions? Like, what made it so much of a passion of yours?
I think, as a filmmaker and a storyteller, you're kind of looking for stories and like, what do I have a voice? What do I have a voice in? What do I care about? Who do I want to represent? Especially, I lived in Los Angeles for 11 years, and you're kind of being tossed around. As an actor, you're just sent auditions. So you're just like, read this, tape for this. Here's your job. And you're being sent the stories. And at some point you're reading these stories, and some are great, some are bad, some are in the middle. And at some point, most people, including myself, are like, A, I don't want to tell this story. Or why isn't this other story being told? And B, quite honestly, you're like, I could do this better. Or at least I can do it as good. And again, growing up in Texas, I felt like I had something to say about rodeo, and I felt like I could voice this community well and represent them honestly. And the movie really isn't set up to glorify the cowboy or to glorify rodeo. It's really just to honor the honesty of it, to tell a true story about it. Like, a big element for me was that I wanted to make a movie that was multi-generational, about a family of bull riders, and in particular 3 generations of bull riders, because that sport, and as it is with farming too, is almost always generational, and it's their heritage, and so I really wanted to dig into that. And in particularly my character, the youngest bull rider in the family, is like the honor that comes with trying to carry on that legacy, but also the pressure and the negative aspects that it can lead to, which is, addiction in my case and in our movie. And then, Forey J. Smith and C. Thomas Howell both were good examples of how movies kind of start to make themselves and evolve. Because you get 2 guys like that on the movie, they're going to bring so much to it, Like, when I can present them the script and then say, what would you do here? What would you say here? Have you ever been in this situation? And they start telling me their stories. It's incredible. Like, the movie begins with C. Thomas's character, walking in for a ride, and you see a bunch of photos. And in most movies, those photos are going to be props, that you either go make yourself or that you buy online or whatever. That's just Tommy sending me photos when he was a kid. That's just Forey J. Smith being like, yeah, here's me as a kid bull riding, and here's that picture of that rodeo and that rodeo from 1981 and whatever. And like, most movies just aren't that real.
Ride 2?
Could be.
Have you any plans for a Ride 2?
In my head, I certainly have thought about it.
Yeah.
I've played the scenarios out in my head. I don't know that the movie screams sequel. The way it ended, it's not like I set it up for it to be that way, but of course if the movie had that much success, I'd probably rather do a TV series of it. Again, a la Friday Night Lights, I'd probably rather just kind of tweak the family a bit. Basically, the ride is basically about a family of rodeo people, And I'd probably rather just create a TV show that was set in the world of amateur rodeo in Texas. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a bull riding movie, but bull riding is just a metaphor for life in the film. Like, the only real rule in bull riding is hold on, which I love simple stuff like that. That's what I'm all about.